doesn't love football? Except maybe the Americans. They have their own World Cup. But we are talking about this. The World Cup is the most widely viewed and followed sporting event in the world, with 3.6 billion viewers, which is half of the population of the entire world watching the 2018 World Cup held in Russia. That 2018 tournament generated $6.1 billion in revenue. We can safely say that this is the most prestigious tournament in the world. Taking place every 4 years, the FIFA Men's World Cup sees 32 nations compete against each other for the prize, with continental qualification pathways leading to exciting final events. It will bring fans together around the passion and the love for the game. The senior men's national teams of the members of the global governing body, the Fédération Internationale de Football Association, FIFA, contest in the World Cup. 17 countries have hosted the World Cup, and the 21 World Cup tournaments have been won by 8 national teams. Brazil has won 5 times. Germany and Italy have each won 4 times. Let's go way back in the early 20th century, when football had gained ground all around the world and national football associations were being founded. Football clubs like Manchester United, FC Barcelona, Bayern Munich, and Real Madrid had been founded. During this time, football was played as an Olympic sport. FIFA was just founded in 1904 in Paris. It attempted to organize an international football tournament. The first Intercontinental Football Championship was held in the 1920 Summer Olympics, won by Belgium. These were in the very early days of international football. In 1930, FIFA decided to hold its own international football tournaments. Uruguay was named the host country. Jules Rimet, the president of FIFA, persuaded 5 European countries to make the trip across the Atlantic that would take them 10 days on a boat without a chance for training to play in the tournament. 13 nations played in the tournament. Uruguay defeated Argentina 4-2 in Estadio Centenario Montevideo to become the first country to win a World Cup. Italy hosted the 1934 tournament. Italy at that time was under Mussolini's fascist rule. Uruguay had boycotted the tournament, and England decided not to join FIFA and thus did not participate. It was the first World Cup to have a qualification stage. 16 nations participated. 70 goals were scored in 17 matches. Italy defeated Czechoslovakia 2-1 to become the first European nation to win the cup. France hosted the 1938 World Cup. Hosting the cup for a second time in Europe angered Uruguay and Argentina into boycotting the cup. For the first time, the title holders and the host country were given automatic qualification. The Dutch East Indies, Indonesia, became the first Asian country to participate in the cup. Austria withdrew just before the start of the tournament, as it was being occupied by Nazi Germany in an event known as the Anschluss Österreich, the annexation of Austria. Italy defeated Hungary 4-2, defending their title and thus becoming the first nation to be a 2-times winner. Germany wanted to host the 1942 World Cup, but the Nazi aggression and European hostilities in 1939 prompted FIFA to cancel the tournament. FIFA planned to organize the 1946 tournament in 1949, but no nation had come forward to host the games, and thus the games were canceled. From then, the World Cup, the literal trophy, would be called the Jules Rimet Cup. Brazil was the unanimous host of the 1950 Cup. British teams, which had withdrawn from FIFA in 1920, partially due to unwillingness to play against teams they had recently been at war with, joined the tournament. Sorry, England. USA eliminated the English before the final. Both Germany and Japan were banned from the tournament. France and India would withdraw after being qualified. No, it was not because Indian players refused to wear shoes. The All Indian Football Federation gave various reasons for the team's withdrawal, including travel costs, lack of practice time, and valuing the Olympics above the World Cup. The final match, the most classic World Cup final, was played at Estadio do Maracana with an attendance of 200,000 people. Uruguay, who had boycotted the last two World Cups, surprisingly emerged victorious over the host nation Brazil. The 1954 World Cup was held in Switzerland, which was one of the few nations that hadn't particularly been affected by the recent war. The final match, one of the greatest matches in World Cup history and one of the most unexpected upsets, played in heavy rain and mud, was known as Wunder von Bern, the Miracle of Bern in Germany. West Germany beat the heavily favored Hungary in 3-2. It contributed a regained sense of international recognition to Germany after its loss to the World War II and denazification. The Germans considered it as an announcement of the arrival of Deutschland as a reborn nation after being utterly, wohligly humiliated in World War II. The 1958 World Cup, held in Sweden, saw the emergence of Pelé. The 17-year-old Pelé would be the youngest player in a World Cup final and scored one of the most memorable goals ever in a final against Sweden. France's Just Fontaine scored 13 goals, a record unbeaten till date. Substitutions were not allowed, and injury would lead to a missing player on the team. Brazil beat Sweden 5-2 in the final. The matches of the 1962 World Cup took place in Chile. Despite Pelé having injuries, Brazil managed to hold their title in the final, defeating Czechoslovakia by 3-1. There was a violent match between Italy and Chile called the Battle of Santiago, which was one of the most scandalous matches in all of World Cup history. The Italian team would need police protection to leave the field after the game. The English referee of the match, Ken Aston, would later invent red and yellow penal cards. The first mascot and an official logo were used in the 1966 World Cup, held in England. North Korea became the first Asian team to reach the quarterfinals. Jeff Hurst became the first and to this day, the only player to score a hat trick in the World Cup final. In the final, England defeated West Germany. The first North American nation to host the World Cup was Mexico. The 1970 tournament was the first to be televised in color and the first to have an official ball sponsor, Adidas. Red and yellow cards, invented by that English guy from the bloody Italy-Chile match, had been introduced in this tournament. The final match was played between Brazil and Italy, and Brazil would become the first nation to win the World Cup 3 times. There was a new trophy for the 1974 World Cup held in West Germany. Brazil had won the Jules Rimet Trophy permanently due to 3 victories. Pelé had retired by this time. Germany would win against the Netherlands 2-1 in the final. Franz Beckenbauer, one of the world's greatest living players, would lift the trophy as the German captain. The 11th World Cup was held in Argentina in 1978. This was one of the hardest World Cups to qualify, as 95 teams vied for 14 places. Argentina won the game against Netherlands 3-1, with 2 goals scored in the added 30-minute extra time. The slot had been expanded to 24 teams from the 16 teams in the 1982 World Cup, held in Spain. Diego Maradona, the young Argentinian star, was set to enter the world stage from this tournament. Italy won 3-1 against West Germany in the finals, with an impeccable performance in Santiago Bernabéu Stadium, the home stadium of Real Madrid in Madrid. Mexico became the first nation to hold 2 World Cups by hosting the 1986 World Cup. In the quarterfinal match between England and Argentina, Maradona scored 2 remarkable goals. The first was a controversial handball goal, also known as Hand of God, and the second in which he dribbled half the length of the field past 5 English players before scoring. This goal was considered goal of the century. Perhaps no player before had managed to rise above all other players in a World Cup tournament like Maradona had done in 1986. He would later become the player of the tournament. Argentina beat West Germany 3-2 in the final. Cameroon was the first African nation to make it into the quarterfinals after beating Argentina in the 1990 World Cup held in Italy. Argentina played rough and defensive in the final against West Germany. This was where the first ever red cards were handed in a World Cup final. West Germany beat Argentina 1-0 in the final. The first World Cup to be decided by the penalties was held in the USA in 1994. The Colombian defender Andres Escobar got murdered after he returned to Colombia after an unlucky own goal against the United States. For the first time in World Cup history, the final match would be a draw after both ordinary match time and extra time. A penalty shootout in the final game would guarantee a Brazil win against Italy 3-2. It was one of the most financially successful World Cup, with 3.6 million people attending the tournament. The 16th World Cup of 1998 was played in France. It had expanded from the previous 24 teams to 32. South Africa made their first appearance. Host nation France won against Brazil 3-0, with 2 goals from Zinedine Zidane. He would also get a red card. The 2002 World Cup was the first to be held in Asia and was hosted jointly by South Korea and Japan. 199 countries were involved in the qualification. The final would be played between Brazil and Germany, beating Germany 2-0. Ronaldo won the Golden Shoe. This is the 5th title for Brazil. The 2006 World Cup was held in Germany. In the final match between Italy and France, French captain Zinedine Zidane was sent off in the last 10 minutes of extra time for a headbutt. Italy won 5-3 against France in a penalty shootout. The 2010 World Cup was the first World Cup to be held in an African country. You might have seen the monotonic vuvuzelas being played across the stadium. You might also have heard one of the most recognizable World Cup songs there is, Shakira's Waka Waka. The Netherlands were defeated by a 116th minute goal from Spain's Andres Iniesta. The 2014 World Cup was held in Brazil. Mario Götze of Germany scored a goal in the extra time to defeat Argentina. Germany's Miroslav Klose became the record holder for the most goals scored in FIFA World Cup tournaments, with 16 goals. Lionel Messi would win the Golden Ball for the tournament. Host nation Brazil lost to Germany 7-1 in the semifinals, and eventually finished in 4th place. It is said the patients suffering from depression in Germany would get better after their doctors prescribed them the DVD and web links for this match. The 2018 World Cup was held in Russia. At an estimated cost of over $14.2 billion, it was the most expensive World Cup to date. Croatian player Luka Modric was voted the tournament's best player, winning the Golden Ball. France beat Croatia 4-2 in the final. The 2022 World Cup will be held in Qatar in the winters due to intense heat. It will also be the first World Cup to be held in an Arab nation. Check out FIFA's website for updates if you're going to watch it in Qatar. Germany's Lothar Matthäus has played the most World Cup matches overall, with 25 appearances. Miroslav Klose of Germany is the all-time top scorer at the World Cup with 16 goals. Brazil's Pelé is the only player to have won 3 World Cup winner medals. Brazil's Mario Zagallo, West Germany's Franz Beckenbauer, and France's Didier Deschamps are the only people to date to win the World Cup as both player and head coach. Among the national teams, Germany and Brazil have played the most World Cup matches, 109. And Germany has appeared in the most finals, 8. Football, or broadly speaking, sports, offer people a great opportunity for competitors and spectators alike to experience the spirit of universalism and humanity. It unites us all. Sports contribute to the betterment of mental health, provide positive development opportunities, as well as promote the learning and application of life skills. Subscribe to the channel for new and exciting videos. To support the creators of this video, go to buymeacoffee.com/chongtham to donate.